So I thought I'd take a quick video here. I got another 570 full-size prop shaft that I need to rebuild here. So the main reason is you can see where the paint's worn off it. This drive shaft's loping because of the slop and the splines on the front pinion shaft. The reason it does that, main reason, is the yoke. The way they designed this, there's not enough splined area on that shaft, and when you don't have enough contact splined into your yoke will sit there and oscillate. Any little movement there is, it's just going to sit there and do this all day long. And the longer it does that, the more it wears. And of course, it's going to wear out your yoke, your splines on your yoke first. And it is going to put some wear on the pinion spline also. The rear yoke on these, they wear out also. There's nothing you can do about it except try to grease them as often as you can when you service. So generally, your only options here are to buy a new prop shaft, or you can buy a new yoke from Polaris or aftermarket for the rear. You can buy a new yoke up front. Those are fine. The problem is they are about $70 a yoke, and maybe more than that now. But so I'm trying something here, and I have no reason to believe it won't work. I'm not going to do anything with the rear. It's passable, so I'm going to run it, put new U-joints in. Up front, to get away from that pinion slop, because even with a new yoke, you will have some slop there still, especially if your pinion splines are worn. What I did was I took a bandsaw and I cut through the spline portion 90 degrees away from where the bolt or the roll pin goes through. Okay, so 90 degrees right there on both sides. I cut down past where it's splined, and the reason I'm doing this is when I go back together, I'm going to use a 5/16 bolt. I'm going to go through here, put a lock nut or a lock nut on the other side, and then I'm going to tighten this. And what that's going to do, when I tighten this down, it's going to clamp this yoke, the splined area of the yoke. It's going to clamp it to the pinion shaft. And it's going to make this fit tighter than it would have otherwise. And over time, even if there's a little slop there, it's going to probably sit tight enough that at least it might rust in a little bit and stay kind of tight. I'm going to try this. This is used a lot on like implement drivelines, drive shafts. You'll see them where they have a cut in the yoke on one side with a bolt going through it, and the reason for that is for the same reason, to keep your splines tight to your shaft so you don't have wear. Never seen it on a side-by-side. So I'm trying this for myself just to see if I can save some money. For safety's sake, I would say don't do it yourself. It's just an idea that I'm working with. One other thing, when you're changing drive shaft U-joints, this is the U-joint I use from SKF. It's a UJ838. And with that, you get the grease zerk in the end cap instead of on the side, which makes them impossible to grease. Get the ones with the end cap zerk. And what I do is on the rear, I line up the yoke and the U-joint, so that'll be facing this way when you grease it. And at the same time, on the front, on the opposite side, you want your zerk pointing towards the passenger front wheel. So on the back, it'll be pointing towards the left rear wheel, driver's rear wheel. On the front, it'll be pointing towards the passenger, and you'll be able to get them all greased at the same time without having to move it. So I thought I'd just share that with you. Hopefully that helps somebody out.